So identity theft is a thing. Parental theft is a thing. Who knew? Who knew? Jesus, come quickly. I mean, really. Wow. You steal from your own kids. You open credit cards in your kids' names, steal their identity. Let me just help you with this. That's criminal fraud. It's robbing a bank. And sadly, there's two types of identity theft. We all know about like Yahoo with 3 billion accounts. We know Equifax is a total bunch of incompetence. 143 million accounts dropped out there on Equifax, right? We all know. And just this week, they got, another 5 million or something poured out that they came out with. And people steal your... they got the magnetic stripes or whatever in the ATMs. They steal your stuff. They look over your shoulder. They whatever. There's the classic crooks that basically don't know you and they live in whatever, some country or something, Siberia or whatever, and they're sitting at their little laptop just pecking away in the underlings of the internet and the like some scene from the Lord of the Rings or something, and they're just popping out, they're stealing identity. But you know what? Sadly, a lot of identity theft is people somebody and the amount of parents that are scum that will steal from their own children. And let me help you with this. If you're stealing from your children, by definition, you're scum. You look up scum in the dictionary, your picture is right there. I mean, it's pretty easy to identify. I'm not just calling you names. I'm giving you a definition here. Okay? So, really. That's just the bottom of the barrel. But you know what? It's not only a financial fraud, right? These days there's medical fraud, tax fraud. They'll sign up and get your tax refund sent to them, these crooks. Sometimes it's people sometimes it's a traditional crook. Steal your Social Security number and steal your Social Security check, then have it redirected and sent to their account. Most Social Security checks are direct deposit, by the way, if you didn't know that. The employment fraud, that people actually get jobs in other people's names. That's how bad some companies are at actually checking the documentation of the people that go to work for them. And of course, you can buy stuff in someone else's name and illegally. This identity theft thing is far, far reaching. And, many, many years ago, I started talking with my friend Jeff Zander over at Zander Insurance. I said, dude, man, you got to put together a product to cover this because, these you hear these highly advertised identity theft protection places. They're not identity theft protection. Okay, there's not a lot of protection you can do. There's some stuff you can do. You can freeze your credit bureau report. You can limit the use of some of your places you use a card. Don't go on unsecured sites. There's some stuff you can do, but it doesn't matter. When most Americans have now had their identity stolen, it's only a matter of time whether somebody's going to open an account in your name. That's the only question. Whether it's going to show up, whether, minimum. I carry a couple debit cards. I don't have any credit cards. And I look up and there's charges in Mexico. Well, I haven't been in Mexico. So apparently and I didn't order anything from Mexico. So apparently that wasn't me. So we turned those charges over and voila, I get a new debit card in the mail a couple days later and they shut down the account. And shut down the card and start over, right? The algorithms in these places catch most of it, but we also catch weird charges coming through our statements because we actually look at our statements, which is something, by the way, you ought to do. You ought to actually look at your statements. It's called managing your money. Because you'll see stuff on there and you'll go, what is that? And what you'll do is you'll realize you're spending money you shouldn't be spending or somebody stole your identity, right? So here's the thing. If someone takes your Social Security number and your name and opens an account in your name, you're not liable. One time my wife was parked at the YMCA and a crook, professional crook, well, not professional, the idiot. Woman she was really stupid. It took them about 3 days to catch her was all. But she threw a brick through the window of my wife's car and picked the purse up out of the seat. Now, Sharon shouldn't have left the purse in the seat. She's asking for it, okay? But she did. So she gets her purse stolen. In 45 minutes, this woman had already written checks at several places that accepted the checks. She bought $400 worth of stuff at a grocery store, signed my wife's name to it. They apparently didn't check ID because I can promise you this woman did not look like Sharon. She was considerably different in every possible way. So it was not Sharon. We know that. And so the cameras disclosed that, right? So guess who gets to pay that check? The woman signed my wife's name and put a fraudulent check on the table at the grocery store. They accepted the check because they didn't check ID and the $400. Are we liable? Is Sharon liable for that check? Absolutely not. The crook stole her checks. Grocery store didn't do a good job checking ID, so the grocery store loses that money. It was stolen from them. My wife's stolen checks were used as the vehicle to do it, but it didn't cost us any money. We didn't have to go over to the grocery store and make good on the check by that. Same thing's true if your identity's stolen, someone opens a credit card in your name and goes and runs up that credit card. You didn't do it. They don't have any kind of legal authorization from you to do that. You are not liable. That is not the problem with identity theft, is the liability of it. The problem with identity theft is you have to call an idiot credit card company and actually explain to them that it's not you, and the first thing they think is you just don't want to pay your bill. So you get transferred to the fraud victim division of a credit card company, talk about a bunch of winners, and you get to go through bureaucracy hell trying to get these people to actually remove this charge from your credit card or your debit card because it is not you, and you end up having to file a police report, sign multiple notarized affidavits. You have to go through all kinds of crap, and it's estimated there's 600 hours worth of work to get your identity cleansed once it's been stolen and utilized to open accounts. This is a total pain in the butt because people you're dealing with on the other end don't give a rip. They don't care. Your whole life is untangled, but they don't care. So when I was talking to Jeff Zander, I said, look, I don't want some fraud alert too late then, which is fine to get a fraud alert from your identity theft protection company. That's fine. Get a fraud alert. Somebody's messing with your credit. Good. Get a fraud alert. By then, it's too late, though. They've already opened 6 accounts in your name. That's not the problem. The problem is all the time it takes to clean it up. And so this Zander Insurance identity theft protection actually assigns someone that goes and does all the work for you. Now, we got something. You have a caseworker assigned, that a certified specialist that goes and does all the work for you. And they have a 100% success rate in recovering any lost funds. So you need someone that does that. That's what you need. So if you're going to buy identity theft protection, and you should, because that young man calling a few minutes ago is just part of the deal, right? Now, obviously, you can't turn that in. If you turn it in to this identity theft company for them to do resolution on it, the criminals will be prosecuted, including the ones in your family. So you need to keep that in mind. But some of the identity theft protection companies won't work a family deal, even if you're willing to point the finger and go, so-and-so's a crook. Mom is a crook. Whew, man. So they actually have wallet protection. They replace the contents of your wallet if it's lost or stolen when you do this Zander thing. So you need someone assigned to do the work for you, and you need to make sure that you're doing all the stuff. You get the fraud alerts, that's all fine, but someone assigned to do the work for you is the big deal, and somebody that's got, this 100% success rate. And so be sure you check that out. Oh, and by the way, they cover your kids until age 18 for free on your plan. A lot of competitors don't do that. This is not an ad for Zander, but I just was thinking about it after that young man called a minute ago. Oh my gosh. I've had friends that they're, divorce situations where they discover that the spouse has been stealing the kid's credit for years. It's just nasty out there, y'all. People are just crazy. So you need identity theft protection. I recommend and always have. It's the only one I've ever recommended. Zander Insurance. Be sure you check them out. ZanderInsurance.com. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.